Hey guys, it's ADC Melbourne here. I've just got a short video clip on how the elites over 2016 and their out-of-touch wisdom has either blown up in their face in one way or another, showing how stupid they really are. Now, first on the list, they're not in any particular order, Angela Merkel and her continual open-door policies to the hordes from Africa and the Middle East. As you're well aware, even though censorship has basically been in place of the mainstream media, in Germany, skyrocketing crime rates has been one of the main side effects of allowing all these hordes into Germany from Africa and the Middle East. Now, 6 months ago, back in July, there was a lorry driven through the crowds in Nice, France, and just a few weeks ago, we had one drive through the crowds in a Christmas market in Berlin. Now, doesn't matter what you think of Angela Merkel, whether you think she's a humanitarian or not, allowing hordes of people that are incompatible with Western culture into your country is just going to lead to demographic suicide, and makes you wonder whether the Germans are going to allow it to happen for the second time in 100 years. So, let's have a look at number 2. George Clooney. This is a classic. I mean, the arrogance of this guy and believing your own crap is beyond belief. Have a quick look at this video here, and it'll probably break you up with laughter.
Not going to be a President Donald Trump. That's not going to happen. As opposed to taking those 30 seconds and saying, well, let's talk about refugees, which is the biggest crisis that's going on in the world right now.
What's he say? How many times he say it? There's not going to be a Donald Trump as president. Wow. I bet $110 back in May that there was going to be a Donald Trump president just by the number of people at his rallies compared to Hillary Clinton. And we know the end result. Now, the other thing he mentions in the same interview is about refugees. Well, he loves going on crapping on about refugees, George Clooney. Now, have a look how many mansions he owns. What, 5-6 mansions worth millions of dollars each? And for all he's crapping on about how the rest of the world and how us normal people should be looking out for him, how many's he put in any of his mansions? None. Diddly squat? Absolute zero. And this is the guy preaching to the rest of us, arrogantly preaching to the rest of us how things should be done. Okay, guys, number 3 would probably be Brexit, and David Cameron suggesting there would be a war in Europe if Britain left the EU. Well, 6 months later, after the British people voted to leave the EU, no tanks have crossed any borders. The only negative things that have happened have been terrorist attacks from the hordes, caused by the hordes coming in from Africa. Now, the Brexit vote was almost a prelude to what was going to happen in the US election. We had the mainstream media and the elite saying how the world was going to fall in and how the polls were favouring the Remain camp, and none of it turned out to be true. Before, I would probably say Jill Stein and the leader of the Greens party in the US federal election. Now, we can go on about the federal election for days because there's just so much crap going on. But in this particular case, Jill Stein, being the leader of the Greens, she wanted to recount in certain states because she suggested there could have been credibility issues with the voting systems. Now, not all those states were computer controlled, some were just paper based. Now, have a listen to what she has to say to an interviewer.
You know, the American people have a right to vote, and we have a right to a transparent process, and to be assured that, especially in Wisconsin, where these voting machines are being used that are no longer used in California because they are so prone to error and to tampering, they are being eliminated in Maryland and in Virginia. We should have quality voting systems in all of our states, and the American people deserve to have confidence in our vote, especially coming out of this very divisive and bitter election.
See the humour in it all? She's going on about the credibility of it, but again, she only suggests the credibility was in the states that Donald Trump won.
So let me say it's not an effort to overturn the outcome of the election. This is not to help one candidate and hurt another. Also the fact that the outcome was the opposite of what had been anticipated. Also the fact that the outcome was the opposite of what had been anticipated.
Not what Hillary Clinton won, even though Hillary won on lesser margins. Now, we all know the end results. I've put up a couple of headlines here, and it's so stupid. But the con of it all, what was in it for Jill Stein? She didn't get 1% of the votes from memory, and here she is asking for a recount. So, but if you have a look in the fine print of the donations, all the money goes straight into the Greens' back pocket should the recount fail.